probably a half the, well, maybe not a half, but like a fourth of the days up here are hotter than down there because
Yeah.
when you hit a certain temperature, you know this, it storms and everything kind of cools down a little bit. So I think the hottest temperature on record in Miami is 99, whereas up here
It's
it's been like
true
108.
because, yes, so down toward the tropical latitudes, the heat dome physically doesn't form. You have those island breezes, those tropical trade winds that tend to cool things down. In the Northeast, very different story. We're the mid latitudes. And so when you're further from the equator, the weather patterns slow down a little bit and it just is stiflingly hot on a day like this week.
You got it. I have a mid latitude. Oh, that's a whole other story. Uh, all right. Thank you
Mine's
very
parked
much,
outside.
Mike. Yeah. We'll check back. Thanks, Sarah. It is in the rural parts of New Jersey where I am. It's 77. As Mike said, it's already 82 in the more urban centers like Montclair and Newark. But I'm in the woods, and the wooded area is 77. So that gives you an idea. It's just hot. In terms of traffic, we have a crash right now on the Outer Bridge crossing eastbound with a right lane blocked. Let's take a look at this one shot of the Garden State Parkway. This is mile marker 150.2. So you're looking in the area near Clifton in that area, and it's actually moving pretty well. But you can see volume picking up as people are driving into the sun. People tend to hit the brakes as they do that, just because they squint a little bit toward there. You can understand. We have a disabled vehicle on the New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur southbound south of Northern Mixing Bowl in Ridgefield with the right shoulder blocked, and a crash on Route 440 northbound State Street in Perth Amboy with the right lane blocked right now. We have a crash on Route 47 southbound north of Beaver Dam Road in Dennis Township with the right lane closed. And we have an earlier incident that occurred with electrical repairs, Route 22 both directions west of St. James Street in Pohatcong Township with the left lane closed. It is now reopened, we're told, but there are residual delays. Right now, the approaches to New York on the GWB upper and lower level 8095 approach, you can see pretty slow at this time. So this is about a 30-minute passover time into Manhattan. We have delays at the Lincoln as well, 25 to 30 minutes, and at the Holland, about 25 minutes right now. And remember, if you're headed to any of the area airports, make sure, if you're driving, make sure you have a parking space already reserved. Many of the parking lots, because this is a holiday week for a lot of people, many of the parking lots are already at capacity. 7:08, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs says the U.S. is on high alert for any retaliation from Tehran after our nation bombed 3 Iran nuclear sites with Operation Midnight Hammer, taking out Iran's nuclear weapons program in the process. As a result, the commander of U.S. Central Command has elevated force protection measures in that region around Iraq, Syria, and the Gulf. There are some 40,000 U.S. troops in the region. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Iran's nuclear ambitions were obliterated in Saturday night's strike. Hegseth said our B-2 stealth bombers went in and out without the world knowing at all, making the operation historic. Those bombers landed safely back in the U.S. yesterday. Part of the president's strategy was to send a number of B-2 bombers in one direction, throwing everybody off, while the actual attacking bombers headed in the opposite direction, straight for Iran. 7:09, ultra-left Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and a few other Democrats are calling on President Trump to be impeached after his decision to bomb Iran's top nuclear facilities, inaccurately blasting the move as unconstitutional. There's nothing about it that's unconstitutional, for the record. Under the Constitution's War Powers Act, the president must notify Congress within 48 hours of military action. Well, he did. He actually notified everybody as it was happening. The law also limits the deployment of armed forces beyond 90 days in the absence of a formal declaration of war. Well, the president said this is one and done. There will be nothing else after this. He also, again, made sure the congressional leaders were aware as we were leading up to it. The point is, if he had told all of Congress beforehand, every one of them lying leakers, all of them, would have passed on all this information to the press, as they always do, even though it's illegal to do that. It's top secret. That's why they have security clearances. And then the entire thing would have been for naught. All the planning would have been for naught. So that's why you don't tell the idiots in Congress in advance, because they would have leaked it to all their buddies in the media who do them favors later by not writing nasty stories about them. I was in professional media. I know exactly how it works. If you think it doesn't work that way, you don't know what you're talking about. Trump again says this will not escalate to the level of war. There is no constitutional violation. And by the way, there was no complaint for President Biden when he ordered multiple airstrikes against Syria, Yemen, Afghanistan, and Somalia. Democrats and Republicans Didn't say a word. President Obama, he was the bomber in chief. He bombed Libya, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Somalia, Pakistan, as he called it instead of Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Never once did he approach Congress. And when the Republicans in Congress demanded action, he basically told them to pound sand. He never notified them. And Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Mind you, at this same point in his presidency, Obama bombed 9 countries. President Trump, in the 5 years almost that he's in office between the 2 terms, has done it once. And they're screaming for his impeachment. Just total bullshit hypocrisy from the left. You know, there was a time when the media was the only way to get your word out to the public, that you got away with this shit. You can't get away with this shit anymore, liberals, because there's social media and there's rogue media like us letting everybody know what's going on. So your bullshit talking points do not do the trick anymore. When 900 liberals all say the same talking points, you think people are that stupid today? We have the internet. So the likes of Schumer and the rest with the same talking points every day, it doesn't work anymore. Doesn't work anymore. You've lost all moral authority on the left. Meanwhile, New Jersey's Attorney General, the arch-liberal quasi-communist Matt Platkin, announced Saturday night that New Jersey was increasing security around Jewish and Muslim houses of worship following Saturday's strike on Iran. He said there was no known threat at this time, but he was doing so out of an abundance of caution. Okay, Matt Platkin, show me the masses of angry Orthodox Jews with pitchforks and Molotov cocktails ready to burn down mosques. Where are these people? I love how the morality of moral equivalency among the left always, in other words, we can't irritate the Muslims by having anything where we're defending only the Jews. So let's put cops in front of houses of worship on both sides. No, there are no threats from the Jews against the Muslims. Not since 9/11. Even then, it was only threats and it never materialized. I've been doing the news for 40 years in New York. It hasn't happened. You don't have Jews with pitchforks standing outside of Islamic centers. It doesn't happen. The opposite? Yes. You have Iran funding these stupid kids in colleges, putting on keffiyehs, not knowing what they represent, saying from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, which implies let's murder all the Jews and eliminate Israel. That does happen. But you don't put any defenses in front of temples when that happens, do you, Matt Platkin? And Matt Platkin's Jewish himself. It's really offensive. It's really offensive. Having much of my family that's Jewish, it's really offensive, Matt Platkin. You're an idiot. And I say it publicly. 7:13, summertime certainly sends more people outdoors days after loads of rain left standing pools of water for mosquitoes to breed away. New Jersey health officials say the annoying bugs are out in force. There's a little buggy. Potentially leading to the fatal West Nile virus. There have been West Nile mosquitoes detected already, and they are out 2 weeks earlier than they were last year. So a number of New Jersey counties have tested positive already for West Nile. So make sure when you go out, if you're going to be out all day, you're going to have exposed skin, use some kind of a spray that repels them, because if you get bit, you don't want to get bit because it'll make you very, very, very sick. And if you have weakened immune, you could get extremely sick. And we have an air quality alert in effect for parts of Vineland after a 4-alarm fire at Giordano's Recycling on North Mill Road was extinguished Sunday morning. Heavy smoke prompted officials to urge residents in Cumberland and parts of Gloucester counties to stay indoors and keep windows closed. No injuries reported, and the fire is under investigation. The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities is negotiating with workers with 4 electric distribution companies to soften the blow of the huge electric rate hike that took effect 3 weeks ago, courtesy of the Liberals in Trenton. A measure approved by the board at their June 18th meeting will move some of the costs out of the historically high July and August billing period. So, woolly for them. They're going to cut back $30 a month for July and August. But don't worry, you'll pay for it later. It's not like they're giving it to you. They're just going to charge you $30 less in July and August and then charge you $30 more over the cold weather. So that's their idea. That's a Democrat's idea of fixing the problem that they created. It's because they shut down 6 fossil fuel generating or nuclear generating power plants that we needed in New Jersey to prompt and push us into creating so-called green and sustainable energy plants that never materialized. And so now we are 6 power plants short at a time when they're demanding we go to electric cars, and we're using more and more electricity for things like cloud storage for computers and AI. So now there's a huge demand on electric use. All at a time when we've switched to LED lights, electric cars. We've done all of this in order to save power, right? And in the process, they're now charging us more for power because they shut down 6 of our plants to save Mother Earth. And it does nothing to save Mother Earth. Mother Earth was saved before. We can't do anything to save Mother Earth. A Middlesex County doctor accused of sexually assaulting patients at urgent care centers in 3 New Jersey counties has been indicted. Authorities say 57-year-old Dr. Govinda Johal of Colonia was charged with 2 counts of sexual assault, 11 counts of criminal sexual contact, and 2 counts of falsifying or tampering medical records. That, according to Attorney General Matt Plagden. The alleged incidents happened in Middlesex, Monmouth, and Essex counties. The investigation began after one patient told law enforcement Johal inappropriately touched her at Amboy Urgent Care on Cornell Street in Amboy. It is 7:17. So I thought President Trump utterly destroyed the world's economy when he started to impose tariffs. Remember, everybody said, even people who were Republicans but never Trumpers, said he's an idiot. He just destroyed the whole economy. Well, maybe not so much. Even CNN, no friend to Trump, is now reporting the economy is actually doing better today than it was in the days leading up to the first tariffs being imposed 11 weeks ago. Yep. In fact, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is nearly 2,000 points higher right now than it was 11 weeks ago, right before the tariff mentions. But wait, all the leftists and Wall Street know-it-alls like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, they know better than everyone, right? No, they're a bunch of little liberal snots who get out of college and they're taught by other liberals at these organizations what they think works. It's a different world, kids. You now have things like crypto, people investing in metals. It's not the same liberal investment world that the Democrats have controlled for 30 years. Used to be Republicans on Wall Street. And then for the last 30 years, it's a lot of liberal Democrats. So right now, the way it looks, the economy is going boom. It's big boom, big time bull economy. Consumer prices rose, by the way, just 2.4% annually last month, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That was less than economists expected and only slightly higher than the 2.3% rate in April, which was the U.S. economy's lowest inflation rate since February of 2021. Trump's going to destroy everything. Core inflation, by the way, fell to 2.5% in April, yet the Fed chair refuses to lower interest rates. Every Fed chair in the world has lowered interest rates. We are among the few, a handful, that has still not lowered interest rates. We have some of the highest interest rates in the whole world for our Fed right now. And that is because the current Fed, who Trump wants to replace, but everyone's saying, you can't do that. The current Fed chair hates Trump and does not like to be shown up by some bully from Queens who knows what he's doing clearly. 7:19, it is 77 degrees. When we come back, New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. Extreme heat watch in effect, some patchy fog this morning, sunny with a few passing clouds today, near record-breaking highs in the upper 90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast. Phone lines open, 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Monday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:20 now, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Extreme heat watch in effect. Some patchy fog this morning, sunny with a few passing clouds near record-breaking highs, upper 90s near 100. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a very hot Garden State forecast.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Ken, did you know the heat wave actually started on Saturday? Today
Yeah.
would be day 3 of the heat wave. So you felt that steamy weather come in after those morning showers yesterday, and the humidity is here to stay. Takes 3 days in a row to start the heat wave. Today would be day 3 of the 90-degree plus air temperature, but it's all about that heat index when you factor in the humidity, making it feel like it's above 100 at times today. Not for you at the shore locations. On the shore front, there from the beaches of Long Branch, right down through Deal, Point Pleasant, even Tom's River, Bradley Beach, pick your beach. You'll have a great afternoon. Not crazy hot. You head inland, that's where it's going to hurt. 99 is your forecast in Trenton, 99 in Mount Holly, but it's the humidity that makes it feel like it's well over 100. So the heat dome we've been talking about keeps all of the clouds and showers riding north of us. The high pressure that's in place is a steering current that sends clouds and storms in a counterclockwise direction around us. So, clockwise direction around us. That's why you see them riding right up and over, and even these cells out to sea are heading south. So it's just this giant mass of air that's preventing any rain from coming at us and just allowing that heat to build day in and day out. On top of that, we have poor air quality because our UV is at the very high level at a 9, and that's why the ground level pollutants, mostly vehicle emissions, when they interact with the UV light, the atoms split apart and it turns oxygen into ozone. O3, we breathe O2, and so that's a cause for some poor air quality by the end of the day because the breezes are not blowing, and it's just the stagnant air that's allowing those ground pollutants to sit around. How bad does the humidity get over the coming days? So these are the dew points, and anytime they're over 70, that's tropical. They are well into the 70s this afternoon, feeling quite tropical throughout today, throughout tomorrow. A little bit of relief by the shore, upper 60s there for you, but still, it feels very humid throughout the rest of this week. Slightly less humid by Wednesday morning, but then by Thursday morning, after a few rain showers early in the morning, 76-degree dew point in Medford. That is rainforest levels of humidity. Very, very muggy throughout the end of the week. Translating to feels like temperatures and heat index values well into the 100s. 107 in Camden this afternoon, 106 in Hackensack, and 102 in Morristown. You see the heat index drop off back into the 70s and 80s by later on tonight, but this is important to note. At 8 o'clock tonight, as we approach sunset, it will still feel like 100 degrees in Trenton and 101 in Camden. And that's the weather that can get you sick, especially if you have air conditioning that's maybe not working as well, just because your body doesn't get a chance to cool down naturally at night. Because we start all over again tomorrow, back in the low 100s, feeling like it at least tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday, do it again. Feels like 105 in Trenton on Wednesday afternoon. And again, above 100 feels like temperatures there toward Millville on Thursday. Finally see some relief by Friday with, I think, the heat breaking by then, and then it really breaks by this weekend, which is some good news. There is some rain that comes in for Friday. I think Saturday has a few more clouds around, but Sunday should clear out very nicely. So the whole weekend is not gray. I think we'll get definitely some clear sky in there, at least by the late part of the weekend. Could be see a few lingering sprinkles on Saturday, but at least our high is only 81. Oh, really? I thought I did that already. Okay. At least our high is 81 degrees. And then Sunday we get to 84, so not terribly as hot by the time we get to the end of the weekend. A mix of sun and clouds developing by Sunday. So much heat, so much humidity. So stay safe, and we'll have more in for you about what to expect, Ken, with our records, because I think we could see some records fall as soon as today. Record is
Wow.
101 in Newark, set back, I think, in the 1800s. I'll show you those stats coming up.
I was there. I was there when it happened.
With a thermometer, right? With your little analog thermometer and a
I
little
had, it
a
was it,
feather
it
and
was
pen.
listen, it was hard to get mercury back then. In fact, I got a little dose of mercury poisoning because I kept licking my finger and testing. And you're not supposed to do that. I found that, but who knew? It's hard to get a guy to blow a tube that long too, like 3 foot long tube, filled it with
Right,
mercury.
I
But
know.
it was a very accurate thermometer when I didn't break it and get mercury all over myself. Yeah, it's a whole other story. I think your camera, by the way, I actually heard it say, "Oy."
Ugh, yes, it is. It's a, it speaks Yiddish. She went, ugh.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. We'll check back. 77 here in rural New Jersey, 82 in the urban center, 79 in Trenton right now. 725 gubernatorial candidates Jack Ciattarelli and Mikey Sherrill clashed over President Trump's recent strike on Iran's nuclear facility. Republican Ciattarelli praised the move, saying President Trump's decision to destroy Iran's nuclear program was the right move. A nuclear Iran would be a grave threat to Israel and could further destabilize the Middle East. Democrat Cheryl, a former Navy pilot herself, criticized Trump for bypassing Congress and urged diplomacy. By the way, never once did Mikey Sherrill criticize Biden when he dropped bombs on 5 countries. Sherrill said, I am deeply concerned by President Trump's decision to order these strikes tonight without first seeking legal authorization from Congress. Mikey, because you would have called all your friends in the media and ruined the plan. That's why. She went on to say it was required by the Constitution. No, it's not, Mikey. The constitutional requirement ensures Congress has the ability to weigh the proposed plan only if it goes to full-blown war, by the way, not for an incident like this. Since 1946, presidents have done this without congressional approval. So all the left can say it's anti-constitutional all they want, but we have 79 years of presidents, Democrat and Republican, never once getting congressional approval before a pinpoint strike like this. And you never hear the Democrats complain about a Democrat president, ever. 727, time now for politics from Trenton, explained like nobody else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, June 23rd. Welcome to the Inside Edge. During the summer of 1976, the state assembly was holding a late night session to debate the creation of a state income tax. And even in that hour, the assembly was uncomfortably hot. It had been nearly 100 degrees that day. And the old chamber, before the 1980s renovations, had horrible air conditioning, and there were these gigantic floor fans set up all over the place. These were those kinds of old fans that you could hear the blades turning around. And at one point during a contentious debate, a Republican assemblyman from the city of Passaic, Emil Alzawi, stood up from his seat, and he caught the attention of the assembly speaker, a guy from Bayonne named Joe LaFonte. The speaker asked him, Mr. Alzawi, why do you rise? And his response would become one of the most legendary lines in the history of the New Jersey legislature. I didn't rise to speak, Alzawi told LaFonte. And then LaFonte says, then why did you rise? And Alzawi says, Mr. Speaker, I rise to aerate my shorts. These were better times in the legislature back then. Alzawi was well liked by his colleagues. He had been elected in 1975 from the old 34th district. This was Clifton and Passaic, and in those days that was a competitive district. He beat Herb Klein, future Congressman Herb Klein, by 443 votes. Joe LaFonte was an old school machine pal from Hudson County. He became speaker after Republicans picked up 17 seats in Governor Brendan Burns' 1975 midterm. The speaker was Howard Woodson, and in those days, legislative leadership positions rotated frequently, but Woodson hinted that he wanted a third year. LaFonte put together the votes to push him out. And then just a few months after becoming speaker, just days before the 1976 filing deadline, 9-term Congressman Dominic Daniels from Jersey City announced that he was going to retire. LaFonte, sitting right next to him, got in the race for the 14th district seat. So did some others, including West New York's Chris Jackman, and North Hudson made a play for the House seat. But this primary was over before it started. It took just 5 days, and LaFonte wound up running unopposed. LaFonte had shepherded the state income tax through the assembly, and that led to what was almost an unfathomable upset. An unknown Republican named Anthony Campenny, a used car dealer with an $11,000 war chest, came within 6,800 votes of winning a Hudson County congressional seat. This is in a district that Jimmy Carter carried by 14 points. LaFonte turned out to be a one-term congressman, not his fault. Internal changes in Hudson County politics led Democrats to back Frank Warreading instead. As a consolation, Brendan Byrne put LaFonte in his cabinet. And in 1982, LaFonte ran for the U.S. Senate. He finished third in a 10-candidate field with 20%. Frank Lautenberg won that primary with 26%. That's it for today, everybody. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you, David. 731, the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 825 has endorsed Jack Ciattarelli for governor of New Jersey, giving the Republican nominee the support of one of the state's most politically potent labor unions. The 8,000-member union can provide Ciattarelli with boots on the ground during his campaign and the potential to spend a significant amount of money through independent expenditures to help him win. Just think Sean Spiller on the Democratic side with the teachers union and all their dues. Just think about that. 4 years ago, Local 825 endorsed Democrat Phil Murphy for re-election against Ciattarelli, so they've switched sides. Remember, Ciattarelli came within 3 percentage points of Murphy for winning in a state that is significantly higher in terms of Democrat registration than Republican. And a recent poll has Ciattarelli in a virtual tie with Democrat candidate Mikey Sherrill, 44% to 41%, with the margin of error at 4%. So technically, it is a tie because of the margin of error. 732, as of this past Saturday morning, traffic reports all over the tri-state officially changed, and our director, Pam, was jumping for joy with pom-poms. The mention of sinkholes on I-80 in Wharton, New Jersey is officially done, hopefully forever and ever. All lanes on Interstate 80, as we take a live look right now, have finally been reopened. Look at that, no traffic. No traffic to report. Isn't that beautiful? Remember all the months of bumper-to-bumper traffic off to the right on Route 15? This is so nice to look at. This is probably the last time we will ever have to show this shot ever of I-80. So the businesses on Route 15 finally getting back to normal. Hopefully they could recoup some of the tens of thousands of dollars that each business probably lost each week. The New Jersey Department of Transportation says all lanes reopened 4 days ahead of schedule. Eastbound lanes were closed Friday night for the final repaving and painting. Westbound lanes reopened last week, and the repairs come after a number of sinkholes formed on the roadway starting back in December. Officials say that they were the result of the highway being built atop abandoned and poorly backfilled iron mines. The closures caused massive traffic issues in the area for months. It is 7:33. An Egg Harbor City woman was arrested Friday for stabbing a 35-year-old man outside a Wawa on Route 73 in Berlin. Police say the suspect, Kelly Feaster, knows the victim, who's in critical condition at Cooper University Hospital. Feaster faces charges of attempted murder, aggravated assault, and weapons offenses. She is being held at Camden County Correctional Facility pending a detention hearing. And in Camden, 41-year-old Mexican national Anastasio Santiago Chaparro has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. Chaparro pleaded guilty to possessing over 10 kilos of cocaine with intent to distribute and illegally re-entering the U.S. under the Biden administration after a prior aggravated felony conviction for possessing a firearm as an illegal. Caught in November of 2023 under the Biden administration, he faces 3 years of supervised release post-prison and deportation proceedings. I'm sure some good Democrat circuit judge will fight and make him stay in the United States. You know, there's a meme going out online right now saying that Democrat circuit judges all over the country are demanding that we restore the nuclear facility in Iran and resurrect any of the Iranian nuclear officials whom we killed. It would be sad if it weren't true, you know, that you would probably find judges on the left who would demand that, probably thinking about how to make it happen right now. 7:34, New Jersey lawmakers are pushing to ban unauthorized restaurant reservations or reservation trading ahead of the 2025 World Cup. You heard me right. Trading restaurant reservations like they are, I don't know, cards, baseball cards. Senator Kristen Corrado's bill targets third-party platforms that are selling pricey reservations without a restaurant's consent, citing disruptions to businesses like Montclair's Pasta Ramen, where bids for a reservation are reaching $465. Bottom line is, if you live within 10 miles of the stadium around World Cup time, go on vacation somewhere, because all the people coming into town, it's going to be crazy. You're not going to get into any restaurant. Traffic's going to be insane. It is what it is. The legislation mirroring New York's recent law imposes $1,000 penalties per violation. The bill awaits a Senate Commerce Committee hearing and the governor's signature. Rowan University has been named among the world's top universities in the 2025-2026 U.S. News and World Report Best Global Universities list. How do they know it's not 2026 yet? Just saying. Evaluated among over 2,250 schools from 100 plus countries, Rowan stands out. It's a great school for its academic reputation in research and engineering, medicine, and sustainability. A top 100 public research institution, serves 24,500 students and will soon open New Jersey's first veterinary school. I didn't realize that we didn't have a veterinary school here. We have lots of pets. You would think we'd have a veterinary school, but I've heard actually a lot of vets say they have to travel to the middle of the country or down south to go to veterinary school. It's good that we have it here, or will have it here with Rowan. 7:36 right now. Phone lines are open, taking calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. If you like heat, you are going to absolutely adore today. We have an extreme heat watch in effect right now. That doesn't mean you go out there and lay in the sun and not hydrate, because it could be dangerous. That's how hot it's going to be. Right now, it is 77 degrees in suburbia, 82 degrees in the urban centers of New Jersey. Monday, June 23rd, 2025, 7:37 is our time. This is On New Jersey Mornings, and we could have some patchy fog this morning, then sunny with a few passing clouds. Again, near record-breaking highs in the upper 90s, near 100 in many places. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. It is one of those days where hydration is key. It's also important to remember that air temperature is measured in the shade. So when you feel like you're melting in the sun, yeah, it's a lot hotter than what a thermometer would say, especially when you check your phone apps and see what the weather is. No, that's measured in the shade. So very hot, very humid weather, with some of the hottest weather yet, as that extreme heat lasts through the rest of this week. Will likely set some new temperature record highs that will fall as soon as this afternoon. And as the heat worsens throughout the course of this week into tomorrow and Wednesday, we finally get some relief later on this weekend, but it takes some time. The clear sky overhead, no clouds right now, allowing for a very warm start. And with that stagnant air quality is poor and expected to remain low. That is, the quality of the air remains low through the next several days, as that air is quite stagnant until you get a little bit of an afternoon sea breeze at the waterfront, dropping your afternoon high into the 80s. But inland, that's where it's going to hurt, especially toward Camden and Glassboro. Actual air temperature up around 100 degrees. So a great way to stay cool today is to head toward the beaches. That'll help you beat the what may come close to the record of 101 degrees set back in 1988. I misread it before. I said 1800, not 1888. 1988 was the record of 101, and I think we'll get that later this afternoon. As temperatures keep rising, thanks to all of the clear sky today and the sun beating down on us, a great way to stay cool is out by the waterfront. Notice Atlantic City's water temperature dropped to 64 degrees, a little bit of upwelling there. And so as the warmer waters on the top layer of the water is blown off, the cooler water upwells from the bottom and tends to hit the temperature sensor, so a lot cooler there. But Cape May and Sandy Hook still warm into the low 70s. A great day to hit the beaches, although it will be hot and very low surf, only 2-foot waves out on the water with that water temperature in the low 70s, and sunset nice and late at 8:32. The bigger picture showing that clear sky and the heat dome, if you will, slowly migrating eastward, sending any clouds and showers well off to our north, and that just allows the heat to pump in right through the rest of this week. We'll likely see a few scattered storms as soon as Wednesday, adding to the steamy feel, not necessarily cooling us down. Thursday, same deal, but I think by Friday into Saturday, that's when we finally see the heat break. It just really takes that long. The 7-day forecast showing temperatures climbing to 101 tomorrow, 96 again on Wednesday. Thursday could see our first day out of the 90s by the end of the week, and then we're finally comfortably mild in the low 80s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There could be some extra showers in there through the end of the work week and start of the weekend, but I think it clears out by Sunday, so it'll look much better. 94 tomorrow down the shore. That's unusual for the first few days of summer to have a temperature that high, even at the shore. 89 by Wednesday, and then the sea breeze kicks back in by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Low 80s for you. It's the overnight temperatures, Ken, that are also of concern. We'll likely break some temperature record lows overnight, meaning that it never goes below a certain temperature at night. And yeah, Weather Service keeps track of that too. I'll probably be stuck in the 80s throughout the next several nights here in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's July in Florida, because in the quote unquote cold seasons, it does get down to sometimes the upper 50s at night, low 60s in Florida.
Right.
But yeah, low 80s. Usually it's actually mid 70s. I'm just thinking back. I remember like in June, I haven't been down this month, but usually in June, Fort Lauderdale, it's like low 70s at night. So this is really hot. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And that's, as you said, that heat dome. There's just no place it doesn't dissipate. And then what's
Nope.
going to happen as the ground keeps heating up? Doesn't the hot ground kind of hold the temperature also?
Yes, it does. The latent heat, as it's known in the meteorological community, slowly releases the heat back into the air at night. So, if, for instance, you were to touch a slab of concrete after sunset, it's hot. And that
Hmm.
heat helps to warm the rest of the air around it, specifically seen around the concrete urban centers known as heat islands that tend to stay warmer overnight for later. But even in places like in rural New Jersey, you have all of the vegetation and the agriculture, and that allows for the humidity to be higher away from. So
Hmm.
it's kind of pick your poison. You get hotter temperatures in the urban areas at night, or you get more humid conditions in the rural areas, just making it more uncomfortable all around.
There you go. Well, it is summer. Let's just hope it
Yeah.
doesn't get this extreme in the winter, because I don't like the single digits. Not fun. Thank you very much, Mike. Yes. Oh, Pam is saying to my ear, snow any day. She is such a ski person. It's all cold weather for Pam. Well, we'll get back to you, Mike. Thank you, sir. It is 77 degrees in rurality. Nice and hot where we are at this early hour. Let's take a look at the roadways right now. This is the Garden State Parkway, mile marker 149.2 southbound north of exit 148, Bloomfield area. And you could see a lot of traffic starting to build up there, but you could also see the fog. You see the kind of air fog there that you have that Mike's been talking about. It's patchy. So it's not contiguous, it's patchy. But again, Garden State a little closer to the shore than the interstate, the 995. So you see the cooler ocean air, I guess, mixing. Now I sound like Mike, mixing with the hotter, humid air, and you get a little bit of fog in the morning. It'll burn off as the morning continues, but that's what you have to contend with right now. We have parking related issues now, as I mentioned earlier, at all the three major airport parking facilities. So if you are driving to catch a plane out of town, make sure you have a parking reservation. Go online, and when you make that reservation, make sure that the parking facility will drive you from the facility to the airport. Many of those facilities, years ago, they automatically gave you a shuttle. In the era of Uber and Lyft, I'm finding out myself, only about half give you a free shuttle. Many of them are like, once you park your car, you're on your own. Unless you want to walk with luggage for 3 miles to the airport, you got to take an Uber or a Lyft and pay extra money. So if you see that great that great parking bargain at the airport, it could very well be because they don't have transportation. So double check that. We have a crash on the Jersey Turnpike outer roadway, northbound south of interchange 12, which is Carteret Rawway. The right and left shoulders are both blocked. Overturned tractor trailer Route 9, both directions, north of James Street in Lakewood Township. All lanes closed. Crash on Route 47 southbound, north of Beaver Dam Road in Dennis Township, with one left lane closed. And an earlier incident still causing residual delays with electrical repairs on Route 22 in both directions by St. James Street in Pahatcong. One left lane is closed. Delays on Port Street eastbound entering the NJMT in Newark. Let's take a look right now at the 8095 approach. This is now very heavy. You can see lower level on the left, a little heavier than the upper level on the right to the GWB 8095 approach. About a 35 to 40 minute crossover time. It's 35 minutes at the Lincoln and 30 already at the Holland. That's pretty bad for the Holland at this time. 7:44 right now. And when we come back, lots more news for you. Again, Mike telling us it's going to be hot. We have a heat advisory. Well, they don't officially call it a heat advisory anymore. Now it is called Extreme Heat Watch. That's what it's officially been changed to. Some patchy fog this morning, then sunny with a few passing clouds. Upper 90s, maybe record breaking in some areas. Just stay cool, hydrate, stay out of the sun if you can, especially peak hours 10 a to 2 p. and just, relax. It is summertime, understand, and don't say it's never been like this. It has. 7:45 is our time. We're coming right back. And welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 746, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. An extreme heat watch in effect. Some patchy fog this morning, then sunny with a few passing clouds near record-breaking highs, upper 90s, maybe 100 or more in some spots. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
It's crazy hot today, and it even gets hotter tomorrow with the humidity in check. After those storms came through yesterday morning, you felt that steam bath feel when you stepped outside. Today, it's the steamy feel plus the high heat, with temperatures likely flirting with 100 in Newark and toward Hackensack. But it's the heat index, which will easily feel like 105 or higher, hence the extreme heat warning lasting through this afternoon, even in the mountainous regions, the hilly regions there in northern New Jersey. I mentioned air quality before and how it's a concern today. Even this morning, we're already in the unhealthy level going through the late part of the morning, but by this afternoon, we go above 150 in Cape May, and that's a problem. Now, there likely is some component to that Vineland fire that's adding to this, especially here in southwestern New Jersey, there toward Millville and Medford. But where the effects of that fire are not being felt, places like Toms River and Long Branch, you have forecast air qualities above 100. And again, anytime that number is above 100, that's unhealthy for sensitive groups. So the statewide average is, you got to take it easy. And if you have asthma or respiratory issues, you feel it. Even just going for a walk outside, that's how uncomfortable and unhealthy the air is today. With the next few weeks keeping it warm, we're likely slightly above average going into the first week of July. This takes us through July 7th, and even places like down in Florida staying above average. So yes, we're entering the hottest part of the summer in the next few weeks at least, but still to have weather this warm, unusual, even though the light shade of green shows slightly higher than average precipitation going into the next 2 weeks. 7-day forecast, lots of heat, lots of humidity. 101 tomorrow, feels like 107 at times, 96 on Wednesday, and then a few storms break the heat for a high of 88 on Thursday. Friday and Saturday really see some relief with that cool front coming in and dropping the temperature about 20 degrees. And when you think a 20-degree temperature drop and we're still at 80 or 81, that shows you how hot it's going to be over the next few days. Shore points, unusually hot down toward the beaches. 94 at the shoreline is quite unusual. It stays warm through Wednesday, and then you see some relief there at the beaches too, with some clearing by Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Low 80s by the weekend. So got to make it through the next few days, Ken, and then I think we're clear sailing in through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
By the way, I have on the your app, I have the weather in Fort Lauderdale today. Right now it is 82 degrees, so it's tied. We have the same
Wow.
temperature in Fort Lauderdale. And the daytime high today is supposed to be 89 in Fort Lauderdale. So if you
Yeah.
want to cool off, you want a nice, cool, like Pam likes a wintry-like experience, go to Fort Lauderdale because 89 will feel wintry versus what we're going to get here. It's crazy.
It
But there
will.
you go. When it's cooler in Fort Lauderdale than it is in New Jersey, then you know it's summertime. All
Yeah.
right, Mike. Love it. Thank you, sir. 77 degrees in rural Jersey, 82 in the urban centers right now at 749. And let's take a look at the Garden State Parkway if we can right now. We have a little bit of traffic. This is by exit 145 area by East Orange, I should say. You can see to the left, that's what breaks off to the airport. That's just building at this point quite a bit. A lot of people getting out of Dodge. It is summertime travel season. Again, the area airport parking lots are all filling quickly. Many of them are 95% occupied or higher. So make sure if you're headed to any of the area airports, you have if you're driving, that is, that you have a parking space reserved and that parking facility offers you transportation from the facility to the airport, or be ready and give yourself the time to get an Uber or a Lyft. or a taxi, because you will otherwise be stuck if you're rushing. You don't want that. We have a crash on the Turnpike Outer Roadway northbound south of interchange 12, which is Carteret Rawway. The right and left shoulders both blocked. Overturned tractor trailer, Route 9, both directions north of James Street in Lakewood, with all lanes closed. And a crash on Route 47 southbound, and that is, of course, it just refreshed on me. Here we go. Southbound north of Beaver Dam Road in Dennis Township, with the left lane closed. And we have an earlier incident with electrical repairs Route 22, both directions west of St. James Street in Powhatan, with the left lane closed right now. We also have delays on Route 3 eastbound from the Turnpike Eastern Spur in Secaucus to Route 1 and 9 in North Bergen Township. All lanes open, but very slow. Taking a look at the 8095 approach to the GW Bridge, very heavy right now, both upper and lower levels, 45-minute crossover time, 35 at the Lincoln and 30 at the Holland. 751. Just in time to deal with all the heat, summer fun is splashing back at Mountain Creek Water Park in Vernon. The park opened this weekend with the return of iconic rides Cannonball Falls and Tarzan Swings in the revamped Gorge area. Joining us is resort marketing director Jackie Serra to share what's in store for this exciting season. Welcome, Jackie. Boy, you guys opened up just in time.
Oh, yeah. Right in time for the heat wave.
Unreal. And you got the return of Cannonball Falls and Tarzan Swings. That's big news. What can guests expect from the reimagined rides in the Gorge?
The new rides will be coming July 2025. So we're coming up very quick. These rides will be back better than ever, improved. And we're really looking forward to being able to tell that story with these iconic attractions.
So with the water park finally open, right? Tis the season, and it's good because, we all complain, they should have opened it in early June. No, because the air temperature wasn't there yet, and the water temperature would have been too cold to go in. You guys literally, you've done this for a while, so you know what you're doing. So what other attractions and experiences should visitors now look forward to this summer there?
We've already got 20 rides and slides, over 20 rides and slides and attractions for all thrill levels, all age levels. There's some for the little ones. There's some for the young adults and adults alike, different thrill levels. So whatever adventure you're looking for, we've got it.
And if you live within 50 miles, it's worth it, especially in this hot weather. You have a $99.99 season pass, and water park after dark events sounds like great deals too. And can you tell us more about these offerings and how guests can plan their visit?
Yeah, of course. Our season passes are available online. They include unlimited access all summer long. So you can get, access whenever, no blackout dates. You also get discounts on food and beverage, retail, and like the logo wear merch shop. So there's just some really great discounts. And then we do have cabanas that we offer every day. And then our water park after dark is the summer's hottest party. So yeah,
That's
it's a fun
awesome.
time.
So literally, if you got a bunch of kids and nothing for them to do, or even adults who want to just stay cool, literally $99.99, you can go every single day the whole summer and just have a blast. Because especially where you guys are, you're not near a beach, so that makes a lot of sense. Water parks make perfect sense there. So if you don't want to go fight the traffic to the shore, go in your direction. There's no traffic. That's a perfect place to go. So Mountain Creek's also hiring for the season. You still need some folks there, I can imagine. So what opportunities are available and what makes working at the resort so special?
Of course. Just jumping back to the heat wave, the refreshing mountain water is the perfect way to cool off. But for hiring, our team is the most important thing to us, and we are hiring across the board. There's a lot of positions available, mostly summer roles. I think maybe a couple more lifeguards needed, but we're in really good shape for this season. And, we look forward to whoever wants to join our team,
That works. If you personally, Jackie, were to go to the resort and you were to plot out a path, like what rides would you hit first and then, make your way to later? Is it you wait online for the bigger ones first and then you go to the smaller, easier ones to get on in the middle? What is your method to hit the whole park?
I would start my morning at the Colorado River Rapids, and then I would stay in like our Lower Springs area. I would start at the River Rapids, and then I would go to our Canyon Cliff Jump. From there, I would do Bombs Away. That's like a slide off the cliff into like the springs area. And then I would go to Thunder Run, which is like a double tube ride uh, down the springs. Then I would make my way to the wave pool. And then I would probably head up to the tower where you've got H2O No, Zero G. Zero G is the one where it's like a capsule and the floor falls out beneath you and you slide. It's double looping. So there's some thrill for all levels. I like the high thrill rides. They're the most fun to me. But yeah, that would be my
That's
route.
awesome. I am making notes, by the way, right now. I think that'd be fun. And I mean, what do you see in terms of ratios from kids to like somebody? I'm an old fart. I'm 58. You see a lot of 58-year-olds there? Or is that
Oh, yeah.
creepy?
No, no. You see all ages. All ages are welcome and all ages can have fun.
That's awesome. And I love the idea that you have rides at different levels. Some people don't want the hard stuff, don't want the scary and the high stuff. And other people live for that. It's like when I
Yeah.
was 16, that's all I wanted. Now it's like, my stomach, not so much. So you have a little something for everybody, which is fantastic. And is it smarter to get there like just as the park is opening? What time do you guys open up?
Midweek we open at 11 a.m. and on the weekends we open at 10 a.m. I think the tricky part is it's not super hot. Like we're not in the full like heat of the day by 10 or 11, but that really is the best chance, especially to hit those, the more popular rides. Like Colorado River would definitely be on the list of like must do super early on.
Yeah. So if you get there nice and early, at least you're in and you could beat
Yep.
everybody else to any lines and get to those big rides. And younger people don't care if it's a little cold. It's okay. They'll go in, right? They just want the
Yeah, it's
thrill of the big
refreshing.
ride. That's
Yep.
awesome. Give us your website so that if people want to get tickets online, they can.
Of course, you can buy everything online at mountaincreek.com.
MountainCreek.com. You are a treasure for New Jersey. It is so awesome that you're here. And literally, I just love your physical location is exactly the opposite from the Jersey Shore. That's such a brilliant placement. And being where you are, you draw from like Rockland County, you draw from Orange County, New York, you draw from northern New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, and New York City. You're the perfect location for that. If people don't want to hit all the shore traffic, yet still want to have fun and stay cool, and for not a ton of money. That's a great way to
Mhm.
spend the whole day this summer and really enjoy yourself. That's great. Mountain Creek
Yes.
Water Park Resort Marketing Director Jackie Sarah. See, I'm helping with the marketing. It's good. I'm just glad that we have you in New Jersey. It's so awesome that we do. Thank you for joining us. Please come back, give us updates through the season.
Of course, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. You bet, Jackie. Anytime. Have a great day and have fun. Take care. That's great. I love it. I mean, think of all the childhood memories that you make if you go with your kids, and you're the mom or the dad that drives the whole carload of kids to a park like that. That's just fun. That's good stuff. Nice, clean fun. 7:59 right now. We have a sweltering 77 degrees already in suburbia, 82 in some of the urban centers of New Jersey. When we come back, we will take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. We have an extreme heat watch in effect. Some patchy fog this morning, although it's quickly burning off, then sunny with a few passing clouds near record-breaking highs, upper 90s, maybe 100, 101 in some spots. The full Garden State forecast in a moment. You're watching ONNJ Mornings, seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X, and now streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/OnNJ. We're coming right back. A very good morning to you. It is 8 a.m. Monday, June 23rd, 2025. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. We have an extreme heat watch in effect, some patchy fog lingering this morning. It'll quickly burn off, though, with the strong sun, and sunny with a few passing clouds. Near record-breaking highs up to the upper 90s. Let's head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast. Mike, when you said we're officially in a heat wave, right? It takes 3 days or more of
Yeah.
90-degree temperatures to be a heat wave. You're too young to know the song, "We're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave." You probably know "Heat Wave." That's how, when I was in Channel 7, that's how you knew what generation people were in. One of the reporters
Okay.
would sing "Heat Wave," which is like
Yeah.
60s, and we're having a heat wave was like 1949. Although I'm born in
40s.
1967, it just kind of tells you where I am. I'm just saying.
It was kind of sad when Sirius XM took away those 40s and 50s stations, where you could hear all the music like that. I put my grandma in the car. We went to lunch one afternoon, and she's like, "Oh, I used to dance to this song." Like, she was like in her glory. It was so cool. Now, they're like pop stations. So, I don't
And
know.
it's sad because what gets me about something like that, and this is not to diss Sirius XM. I have a friend of mine who worked for them, actually a friend of mine who works there now, and a friend who worked there for 30 years who just got cut last week because it's dying. Like much of modern media, it's all dying. But what's sad is they keep eliminating channels like that, which to me, I mean, it costs them nothing to run. I guess they feel that the audience has dwindled, so why bother? And then they forget that, okay, with Pandora and everything else, you've just lost a customer. I can now stream in my car on a
Yeah.
phone. You just
Right.
lost me. So why am I going to pay for Sirius XM if you just eliminated the only channels? It's really sad. The industry is really disappointing me. Okay, I'm just wandering off too much. I'm
It's
sorry, Mike.
okay. It's okay. You got heat on the brain, right? It's so warm
Yes.
today. You just can't think straight. So you got to stay in the AC, stay out of the extreme heat warning, which is in place across all of New Jersey. Even toward the beaches, you have that hot weather. Coastal Monmouth County, just under the heat advisory. Same for you south of Atlantic City and Atlantic County. But still, it stays warm throughout this afternoon with that high heat around. Already touching 90 degrees. I think we'll get it before the end of the show there in Newark. Plenty of hot weather. 13 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. So the weather really heating up very quickly. 13 degrees warmer for you. And okay, no. No. 79-degree dew point in Morristown. I have not seen that in probably more than 20 years. That is an incredible heat. That is a dew point that when the air temperature meets saturation, you have these dew points that are well into the 70s. And I mean, this is rainforest levels. I mean, when this is Alabama levels at this point, Alabama levels of humidity in central and northern New Jersey, 79-degree dew point in Flemington. Wow, have not seen that. That is something incredible. So incredible heat and humidity that really takes us into this afternoon and only makes for a ridiculously humid feel. The morning fog has now lifted, so the visibility is good. But again, air quality goes down as the air remains pretty stagnant across New Jersey, even wind gusts only up to 10 miles per hour today. A little bit of sea breeze developing later this afternoon and then giving way to a northwesterly wind by the end of the day. Heat index values, 107 feels like in Newark, feels like 101 in Trenton at 8 o'clock tonight. That is unusually hot, even record setting there tomorrow in Newark. Feels like 103 with an actual air temperature around 100. We do it again on Wednesday. Heat index numbers into the 100s. And then finally for Thursday, 101 in Newark and 88 in Newark, rather, 101 in Medford and Camden as the heat starts to break. But it's the thunderstorms each afternoon that add to that crazy hot feel. So important to know the difference between heat exhaustion, where you need to move to a cooler area quickly, and heat stroke, which is an emergency. If you become confused or know someone that's dizziness or loses consciousness, that requires a call to 911. Throughout this afternoon, with a Monday afternoon high of 102 in Hackensack, 100 in Newark, and 101 in Trenton. This does not include the heat index. So these are the actual air temperatures as measured in the shade, starting off tomorrow morning in the low 80s, climbing again to 101 or 102 by the afternoon, and then maybe Wednesday afternoon, a few thunderstorms popping up preventing us from getting to 100 briefly there in Newark, maybe still 100 in Hackensack and Trenton, but it's the steamy feel that will make it feel very uncomfortable by the end of the day. Thursday into Friday, I think that's where we really see some relief, and we'll start to fall back into the 80s, taking us into the afternoon, I think, by the end of the week, with highs that will feel closer to average. So there's our record-setting heat tomorrow, 101, 96 on Wednesday. Heat wave likely breaks, Ken, by Thursday, and by then it will be at least 5 to 6 days of that hot weather if we make it to 90 on Thursday. So a really hot, long stretch here across New Jersey.
And then Friday, it's going to be 36 degrees. Did I hear right?
Yeah, I wish.
Maybe 36 degrees
Celsius.
Celsius. 36 Celsius. It's kind of close. There we go. That's like 80 something. All right. See that I come from Portugal, and all of a sudden I'm thinking in terms of Celsius. Ken, stay in your lane. You were there 9 days. You didn't move there. All right, Mike. Thank you very much. It is 8:06 right now. We do have 77 Fahrenheit in rural New Jersey. It really hasn't budged. That's good news, but I'm sure as the fog burns off, it'll come up. 79 in Trenton right now, 82 in Newark. 8:06 is our time. And in terms of traffic, take a look right now at this is the Eastern Spur. So we have the mile marker 106.5. Eastern Spur north of the Southern Mixing Bowl. Look at that. Pam and I were discussing why they divvied up the roadways like that, where you have one in one direction, one in another, one in one in another. And we're guessing, this is a theory, maybe tell me if I'm wrong, call us. The thought is if you had like a 10-lane highway in one direction, 10 lanes in the other, New Jersey drivers would cut from the 10th lane to the first lane to get to an exit and cause massive pileups. So we didn't want that. So that's why I'm just guessing. Or you could say, well, it was more convenient to exit from certain parts of the highway. I don't know, just a theory. But as you can see, heavy traffic headed toward, you can see the Pulaski Skyway there. That's the 1 and 9 elevated. Heavy traffic there, and then also pretty heavy for the exit to Newark Airport. That's all in that area near 78 by the Mixing Bowl. Other traffic to worry about right now, again, all of the area airports, they're airport-based long-term parking facilities are all 90%, 95% or above capacity. It varies because as people land, they get their car and leave. So it, through the hours, it varies. You should call ahead. If you cannot reserve a parking space and you're one of those people who gives yourself 2 minutes to get to the gate, you're going to be in trouble. So make sure you get online, reserve a parking space, and make sure wherever you reserve that it has shuttle service to the airport. Very important. We have a disabled vehicle, New Jersey Turnpike, inner roadway, northbound south of interchange 13, which is by the Goethals Bridge in Linden, with the right lane closed, and a disabled vehicle on the Garden State Express lanes northbound, north of the John Bon Jovi service area in Sayreville, with the right lane blocked. We have a crash on the Turnpike outer roadway northbound south of interchange 12, which is Carteret, the right and left shoulders both blocked, so on opposite sides of the roadway. Overturned tractor trailer, Route 9, both directions north of James Street in Lakewood. All lanes are closed. And we have a crash on Route 47 southbound by Beaver Dam Road in Dennis Township, with the left lane of the 2 lanes closed. We also have a problem right now on Route 22. This is an earlier problem that's still causing issues. Earlier incident with electrical repairs, Route 22, both directions by St. James Street in Powhatan Township, with the left lane closed right now. And take a look at the 8095 approach to the GWB. It's heavy. So right now we're talking 40 to 45 minutes to get into Manhattan on the GWB, 35 we're told at the Lincoln, and 30 at the Holland. 8:09, as Operation Midnight Hammer got underway Saturday, a group of B-2 bombers took off from their base in Missouri and were noticed heading out toward the Pacific island of Guam in what experts saw as a ruse. It turns out to be a ruse. It was, they thought, a pre-positioning for any U.S. decision to strike Iraq, but they were a decoy. The real group of 7 B-2 stealth bombers flew east undetected 18 hours, keeping communication to a minimum, refueling midair several times. As the bombers neared Iranian airspace, a U.S. submarine launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles to divert any attention from the sky. U.S. fighter jets flew as decoys in front of the bombers to sweep for any Iranian fighter jets and missiles. Thus, the B-2 bomber did its job. I mean, it's stealthy to begin with, but they just wanted to make sure that they wouldn't be able to track once the bombs were released. So everything else was a decoy. So if you're Iran, as it turns out, Iran didn't fire a shot. They had no defense at all. So we just literally went in clean and smooth, dropped our bombs, 30,000-pound bombs, did our damage, and flew out safely. Thankfully, not a human on our side was hurt. And from what we can understand, nobody on that side was killed, from what we know. But they're keeping information mum, of course, from us. The attack on Iran's 3 main nuclear sites was the largest operational strike ever by B-2 stealth bombers. The bombers dropped 14 bunker-busting penetrator bombs, each one again weighing 30,000 pounds. The operation involved over 125 U.S. military aircraft in all. The Iranians were unable to get off a single round at the American aircraft. They were caught completely flat-footed. The hope is Iran will get the message. The reality seems far from that, though, with the rogue nation blustering yesterday that the worst will be yet to come from them. We'll see about that. The U.S. has assured Iran any further attacks on the U.S. or its interests will be met with a severe and swift response. We have multiple aircraft carriers right there. Each of those aircraft carriers could take over half the world. So don't mess with us. Just give up. It's done. It is 8:11. Ultra-left Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and a few other Democrats are calling on President Trump to be impeached after his decision to bomb Iran's top nuclear facilities. Cortez, who's never read the Constitution in her life, apparently inaccurately blasted the move as unconstitutional. You will recall, if you don't know, it's called the Constitution's War Powers Act, actually gives the president authority to do exactly what he did. The only time he has to notify Congress technically is when he's getting us into a prolonged battle, which he said this was a one and done. He was not getting us into a prolonged battle. But in that case, the president must notify Congress within 48 hours of military action, and he did. He called both heads of the House and the Senate, and he had the discussion once the attack occurred. So it was well within the 48 hours. There's nothing unconstitutional about it. The law also limits the deployment of armed forces beyond 90 days in the absence of a formal declaration of war. Again, everything is done. We've already withdrawn. There's nothing going on. Nothing is unconstitutional about it. The president did his job, and all the people who are pounding their chests on the left are the same people who, when Biden was president, he ordered multiple airstrikes against Syria, Yemen, Afghanistan, and Somalia. When Obama was president, the guy who got the Nobel Peace Prize, Obama, attacked Libya, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Somalia, Afghanistan, and as he pronounced it, Pakistan. It used to drive me nuts because I know people from Pakistan, they don't even pronounce it Pakistan. And again, Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. So this is just the hypocrisy of liberals. If it's their guy, if it's on their side, they can do anything they want with impunity. If it's on the right, mean old orange-faced Trump, no, can't do anything, even though that's what he was elected to do. He was elected to keep us safe. He was elected to get rid of illegal aliens. Everything he's doing, they're trying to meet him with roadblocks every step of the way. The left, shut up and sit down. You have lost your moral authority. You stand for nothing that the rest of the country stands for at this point. Just give it up. You will never get elected again at this point. 8:13, New Jersey Attorney General, the arch-liberal quasi-communist Matt Platkin, announced Saturday night that New Jersey was increasing security around Jewish and Muslim houses of worship following Saturday night's strike on Iran. He said there was no known threat at this time, but he was doing so out of an abundance of caution. Okay, Matt, show me the masses of angry Jews with their payas and their yarmulkes on lined up to beat up the Muslims. I don't see that much. They don't stand there with pitchforks and Molotov cocktails like the leftist college kids wearing their fake keffiyehs. It's just the stupid liberal idea of moral relativism, and it proves how phony the left is. It's all about show. You know there isn't any threat from the Jews against the Muslims, yet to make it look fair and square, Platkin, who is Jewish himself, has to make sure he has both temples and Muslim houses of worship with equal footing, because God knows the Jews are going to attack the mosques. Matt, give it a rest. All right, give it a rest. The people being persecuted are Christians and Jews in this country and around the world, not Muslims. 8:14, an air quality alert is in effect for parts of Vineland after a 4-alarm fire at Giordano's Recycling on North Mill Road was extinguished Sunday morning. Heavy smoke prompted officials to urge residents in Cumberland and parts of Gloucester counties to stay indoors and keep windows closed. No injuries reported. The fire's cause under investigation. 8:15, an Egg Harbor City woman was arrested Friday for stabbing a 35-year-old man outside a Wawa on Route 73 in Berlin. Police say the suspect, Kelly Feaster, knows the victim, who's in critical condition at Cooper University Hospital. Feaster faces charges of attempted murder, aggravated assault, and weapons offenses. She's being held at Camden County Correctional Facility pending a detention hearing. Summertime certainly sends more people outdoors. Days after loads of rain had standing pools of water or for mosquitoes to breed away. New Jersey health officials say the annoying bugs are out in force. Sorry, my mosquito imitation. Some are carrying the potentially fatal West Nile virus. What's worse is those bugs are out 2 weeks earlier than they were last year. 10 mosquito pools within 6 New Jersey counties have tested positive for West Nile. Gloucester County was the first to detect the tainted mosquitoes way back in mid-April. As mosquitoes migrate beyond the area, they carry the virus with them, and officials say to make sure there are no areas of standing water on your property, such as old tires or empty flower pots. And be sure to use insect repellent if you or the kids will be spending any time outdoors with exposed skin. The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities is negotiating with workers, with 4 utility companies to soften the blow of a huge electric rate hike that took effect 3 weeks ago, the second in 2 years. A measure approved by the board at their June 18th meeting will move some of the costs out of the historically high July and August billing period. The plan is to defer $30 from July and August electric bills, and then it'll move them to the fall and winter when people's power bills are lower. So they're not giving you a break. They're not cutting you any slack. They're just saying, all right, we'll defer the billing for a few months. That's the way Democrats do things. So it's because of their green tax, because Democrats in Trenton forced the closure of 6 fossil fuel or nuclear power plants, thus leaving us in a shortage of power at a time when we have more demand for power because A, it's the summertime, people using air conditioning. B, we have AI, which uses massive amounts of power. C, the left made you buy electric cars. They use massive amounts of power. And D, we have cloud storage. The combination of all of that is a bigger demand on power as they closed 6 of our power plants down because they weren't environmentally sustainable. And at the same time, they never built the environmentally sustainable windmills that kill birds and pollute the environment and use fossil fuel oil to run, by the way. And the solar plants, by the way, take 10 times the space to generate the same electricity as a fossil fuel plant. So I don't know what to tell you. Keep voting Democrat. This is the same crap you're going to get over and over again. It is what it is. 8:17, a Middlesex County doctor accused of sexually assaulting patients at urgent care centers in 3 New Jersey counties has been indicted. Authorities say 57-year-old Dr. Gurvindra Johal of Colonia was charged with 2 counts of sexual assault, 11 counts of criminal sexual contact, and 2 counts of falsifying or tampering with medical records, according to Attorney General Matt Plotkin. The alleged incidents happened in Middlesex, Monmouth, and Essex counties. The investigation began after one patient told law enforcement Johal inappropriately touched her at Amboy Urgent Care in Perth Amboy. 8:18. So I thought President Trump destroyed the world's economy when he started imposing tariffs. Well, not so much. Even CNN is reporting the economy is doing phenomenally. In fact, better than before the tariffs. In fact, the Dow Industrial Average is nearly 2,000 points higher right now than it was before the tariffs were imposed. But wait, all the leftists and the Wall Street know-it-alls like J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs said we would have inflation, stagflation, market crashes, moonflation, sunflation, your assflation. We didn't get any of it. Consumer prices rose just 2.4% annually last month, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, not a right-wing group, I might add. That was less than economists had expected and only slightly higher than the 2.3% rate in April, which was the U.S. economy's lowest inflation rate since February of 2021. And core inflation fell to 2.5% in April. That was the lowest reading since March of 2021. America's effective tariff rate is now 14.1%, up from 2.3% last year. That means Trump successfully raised taxes on imported goods by nearly 12 percentage points, making us billions and billions of dollars in commission in the process. Economists expected substantial inflation increases as a result, but it never happened. A lot of the companies ate the cost. What did happen is the country has started earning billions of dollars in additional tariffs, not from you and me, but from other countries. And so far, only 19 products out of the thousands of products sold in the US have seen any price hikes. 19. 16 major product categories have actually fallen in price, including eggs, by the way, that are less than half of what they were a few months ago. Car prices. Everyone said, oh, with the tariffs, car prices are going to go through the roof. Car prices have actually fallen after predictions were they would go up by 25%. It is 8:20 right now, 77 degrees, extreme heat watch in effect, patchy fog this morning, sunny with a few passing clouds, upper 90s. We will be right back with a full forecast from meteorologist Mike Favetta. Don't go away. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 821, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Extreme heat watch in effect, patchy fog this morning, sunny with a few passing clouds, near record-breaking highs, upper 90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta during this heat wave with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. Very warm, very hot and sunny and humid. Obviously, we keep all of that hot weather around through the next several days. The humidity peaks today, but the heat peaks tomorrow. So even though these values sit just below 100, it will feel like 105 to 107 in central New Jersey, except if you find yourself at the Monmouth County beaches, you get just enough of a sea breeze to cool off there, even down toward Point Pleasant. Your high of only 86 to 89, that's heat advisory criteria. So it only feels like 95 to 100. Notice nothing going on across the Midwest, including us here in New Jersey. This is where the heat dome is located, sending all the storms up and over into Canada and then down again out over the Atlantic. So it's steering any severe weather away from us and any chance of us cooling down, at least until Wednesday. The UV is a 9, which is very high, and that keeps a lot of the sunshine around, helping to lower air quality as the still and stagnant air is mixing with all of the atmospheric pollutants and the sunshine, creating ground level ozone. And that's a cause for a lowering of the air quality today. The heat index and the dew point raising up into the 70s, tropical levels here across New Jersey. Even tomorrow afternoon, another very warm start to the day, climbing well into the low 100s, but with the dew point or the temperature where the air is saturated, it makes that heat index feel even hotter, like it's downright oppressive into the low 100s. And then with the heat index climbing to 107 this afternoon, 106 in Hackensack, and 108 in Camden, very, very hot, dangerous heat. You get a little bit of relief by 8 o'clock at the beaches with that sea breeze rolling in, but right along the Turnpike corridor, 102 from Newark down to 101 in Camden. So extreme heat again for tomorrow. Feels like 103 to 105, and then we do it again on Wednesday, 103 again up in Newark. I think Thursday sees some relief in northern New Jersey with some thunderstorms developing by the afternoon, but still 101 throughout Thursday afternoon. Finally, by Friday, we get some relief. So several days of this hot weather lasts. Friday into Saturday, see some clouds and possible showers, and that ultimately cools us down with a front that pushes through. It clears out by Sunday, so Sunday is the drier half of the weekend, looking very pleasant, and then I think we see some rain early next week. But the extreme heat is on, and it lasts in through the rest of this work week, not cooling down until the weekend with a mix of sun and clouds, maybe some storms there on Saturday, 83 as the high, and another chance for some showers potentially by Sunday. We'll just go with a mix of clouds and sun right now. Got to take it one day at a time, Ken, with this heat and hot weather. We'll show you some weather headlines coming up and give you some ideas of how to stay cool. And of course, if we'll see some records fall in the temperature department, not just for the afternoon high, but also overnight, if we get a maximum overnight low, which is very likely, given how the heat doesn't even allow for cooling at night.
Very good. All right. By the way, my complex that I've been bitching about for months, they finally decided to open the pool for like 8 days for the summer. So
All right.
They open it. I'm actually going to venture over. By the way, if you want to see something that you can't unsee, I'll be in a bathing suit in about 2 hours. That's something that'll just don't eat breakfast beforehand because you might not be able to ever eat again. But nonetheless, it was very nice, spotless and warm. It was very, very nice. That's just
Awesome.
what you need when it's going to be 100 degrees, a warm pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank you. I waited all this
You
time
bet.
for a warm pool. Go down to Fort Lauderdale where it's cooler. All right, buddy, we'll check back. Thank you so much. It is 8:25 right now, 77 degrees. It's 83 in Trenton and 84 in Newark. And we have some traffic right now, quite a bit, in fact. This is on the New Jersey Turnpike, mile marker 0.0 Hudson County Extension, interchange 14. And we are looking at traffic coming out of the interchange there, headed toward Newark Airport. That's what they're headed toward in that left area. Well, the upper part of your screen, not left, it's the right part of your screen. So that is, those folks are all headed to Newark Airport, and that is a massive jam at this hour. If you're headed to the airport and you get caught in that, that can be quite frustrating. So give yourselves extra travel time, please. Also, we have a crash on 287 northbound, north of exit 30, North Maple Avenue in Harding Township with the right shoulder closed. We have a disabled vehicle on the Turnpike Inner Roadway northbound south of interchange 13 by the Goethals Bridge in Linden with the right lane closed, and an overturned tractor trailer Route 9 both directions north of James Street in Lakewood Township with all lanes closed. We have electric lines down on Route 22 both directions in St. James, by St. James Street, I should say, Pahatcong Township. The left lane remains closed right now, but the power lines are being worked on. And right now, the 8095 approach to the GWB, you can take a look at it. It's a mess, bumper to bumper. We're told 45-minute crossover time. It looks like the lower level on the left is a little better than the upper level right now, but that changes from hour to hour. So give yourselves lots of time if you're headed in via the GWB. Lincoln's about 35 right now, and the Holland is 25. 8:26 is our time. Interstate 80 has fully reopened after months of sinkhole-related repairs. The issues were caused by an abandoned mine. It began in December of 2024 with eastbound lanes closed in February. Westbound lanes reopened June 14th. Eastbound followed on Saturday. Our wonderful director, Pam, so happy right now. That image makes her overjoyed. I can picture her face right now with a big ear-to-ear smile. Love it. Governor Phil Murphy thanked residents for their patience, especially in the town of Wharton, where delays were significant. A lot of businesses suffered for months because of the traffic issues there. 8:27. Gubernatorial candidates Jack Ciattarelli and Mikey Sherrill clashed over President Trump's recent strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. Republican Ciattarelli praised the move, saying, quote, President Trump's decision to destroy Iran's nuclear program was the right move. A nuclear Iran would be a grave threat to Israel and could further destabilize the Middle East. Democrat Sherrill, a former Navy pilot, criticized Trump for bypassing Congress and urged diplomacy. She said, quote, I'm deeply concerned by President Trump's decision to order these strikes tonight without first seeking legal authorization from Congress as required by the Constitution. This constitutional requirement ensures Congress has the ability to weigh the proposed plan, the potential cost and danger to service members, and whether it is the best path forward to achieve our long-term goals. Boy, she goes on and on and on and on. This is especially important given the poor decision-making that led to 20 years of war in Iraq and Afghanistan without advancing the goals of the United States and our allies. Hey, I got something for you, Cheryl. Here you go, Mikey. The Constitution actually authorizes, under the War Powers Act, authorizes the president to do exactly what he did, a pinpoint attack. Since 1946, no president has sought in advance for a one-time shot like this. No president, Democrat or Republican, has gone to full Congress for the authorization to do anything like this. President Trump did exactly what he's authorized as the executive head. He is authorized by the Constitution, like it or not. And by the way, he notified the leaders in Congress. He notified the Republican leaders who are in charge of both chambers last time I checked, which means therefore he officially notified Congress by telling Speaker Johnson and by telling the Senate Majority Leader right after the attacks were launched. And he reached out to Senator Schumer and spoke with him, who then decried this as terrible, even though he didn't say a word when Biden attacked. Had 8 different bombings. Biden had 4 different bombings. Obama had 9 different bombings. You never heard a word from Schumer then. And apparently Hakeem Jeffries, who they attempted to reach 10 times over the weekend. Hakeem was too busy having his toenails painted, apparently. He couldn't respond to the president. Nice. This is why the Democrats will never win another election. and they will never control the House or the Senate again because of their irresponsibility. They sit back and bitch like children, but yet in the reality, when they're needed to step up to the plate, they can't be reached by the President of the United States. Well, the American people are overwhelmingly in support of what happened. So we'll see what happens come the midterm elections, Mr. Hakeem Jeffries. It is 8:30. When we come back, lots more on the heat and the humidity. We'll have meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Don't go away. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. Very good morning. It is Monday, June 23rd, 2025, 77 degrees right now at 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. Extreme heat watch in effect. Some patchy fog this morning. Sunny with a few passing clouds. Near record-breaking highs, upper 90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning to you, Ken. Very warm weather today. Record-setting, in fact. Likely setting some new temperature records given the heat, haze, and humidity that lasts through this afternoon. So the extreme heat warning Ken has been talking about lasts through at least Wednesday and potentially gets extended into Thursday with those new record highs expected. Highs approaching 101 later on this week, as soon as today. The heat worsens by tomorrow, and then the weekend sees a little bit of relief, especially by Saturday, Sunday timeframe. We see some calming relief at the beaches. Today, right now, see some light cloud cover at the beaches. That's actually very pleasant. A nice way to start off a Monday morning. Get a little shade there from the sun, but otherwise, it's going to stay hot. Poor air quality due to all of the atmospheric pollutants around interacting with the sunshine, making for some lower air quality by the end of the day. But again, with a little bit of relief at the beaches with a sea breeze, your high only gets to 85 in Atlantic City and 86 in Ocean City. Head back toward Trenton, Camden, Glassboro. You're up in triple-digit territory, and that remains hot through the next several days. The almanac shows the 101 record set back in 1988, but I think we'll easily shatter that even come tomorrow with sunset nice and late, now at 8:32. Here's a look of the picture over the last few hours showing no clouds, and even the water temperature even warmed a degree in the last hour in Atlantic City. Warmed up to 73 in Sandy Hook with your high tides later on this afternoon. As far as the beaches, it stays sunny and hot today with a low risk of rip currents thanks to a low surf of only 2 feet. Water temperature nice and warm at 71, and that sunset nice and late at 8:32. So the wider picture showing the high pressure in control. This is the heat dome that's allowing for all of this hot weather to persist at least through the middle of the week. By the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday, I think there'll be just enough moisture around and instability to spark off a late day thunderstorm. That may cool us down a little bit, but it really adds to the humidity. After a shower, you get that steam bath feel as soon as you step outside. That'll likely be the case at least through Thursday. I think Friday is where the weather finally cools down by about 10 to 15 degrees. We're still stuck in the 80s on Thursday and Friday, but with Friday and Saturday seeing some relief, yes, if there's a chance of storms, at least we won't be stuck in that stubbornly hot pattern. We get to cool down a little bit. By tomorrow at the beaches, 94 is oppressively hot. That is unusually hot for the shoreline. Usually, you only see the upper 80s. So for that 94-degree reading to be felt at the shore, unusual, even toward Wednesday and Thursday temperatures cooling off into the 80s. That's closer to average. I think Friday and Saturday, yes, you see some storms there on Saturday, but I don't think it's a wash. There'll just be some scattered garden variety storms, bringing with it some extra clouds. A little too early to determine if it's a whole beach weekend, but I think Sunday is the drier and sunnier half of this weekend. So keep that in mind, Ken, if you're making those weekend plans here across New Jersey.
And make sure you wear flip-flops to the beach. I know people who go in sneakers, but you
Yeah.
can't walk on sand when it's 94 degrees. You will scald your feet. It is,
You
and I'm
cannot.
not kidding
Important to
about that.
note. Yes, and remember walking the dog during the
Yeah,
afternoon, even the late
good point.
evening. Surface temperatures get to be extremely hot, not just on the blacktop, but also on the concrete surfaces too.
To walk the dog on grass. That's or someplace
Yeah.
is cool because they will scald their little toe pads. We don't want that. So all
Yeah, and the
right,
vet
thank you
taught
very
me
much.
easiest
Yes.
thing to do, hold the back of your hand to the ground. If it's too hot for your hand, it's too hot for the dog.
Perfect. That's great advice. Thank you very much,
Yep.
sir. It is 77 degrees right now. By the way, it's actually going to be cooler in southern places today, like Fort Lauderdale is going to be cooler than New Jersey, and Hotlanta, Atlanta is going to be 94. We're going to be 98 to 101 in New Jersey. It's just crazy the way we get a heat dome like this. In terms of traffic, let's take a look at this is the New Jersey Turnpike, Hudson County Extension, east of Interchange 14 by the Pulaski Skyway. You could see is that the Pulaski or the Newark Bay Bridge? Actually, I'm not sure now. But nonetheless, you could see the traffic right now building up as it approaches the bridge there, and that's quite a lot of traffic for this hour. Actually, that's the Newark Bay extension. So that's a Hudson County extension by Newark Bay. That's the Newark Bay Bridge. So that's interchange 14, and lots of traffic right now, as you can see, making your way. The Newark Airport exit is just about a mile after that on the right side. We have some traffic to talk about on North Avenue eastbound by Kapkowski Road in Elizabeth. Center lane is blocked. It's always bad when the center lane is blocked because people hesitate on either the left or the right lanes. Disabled vehicle on the Turnpike inner roadway, northbound south of interchange 13 by the Goethals in Linden. Right lane is closed. We have an overturned tractor trailer Route 9 both directions north of James Street in Lakewood. All lanes are closed. And we have power lines down Route 22 affecting both directions in Pohatcong, and delays now making your way into the GWB, upper and lower levels, both slow. Right now, we got a 40-minute crossover time on the Lincoln Tunnel crossover. It is, or cross under, if you will. It is about 35 minutes and 30 at the Holland. 8:36 is our time. 16 billion login credentials have been leaked and compiled into data sets online, giving criminals unprecedented access to accounts of consumers that they use each day. How did this happen, and what can we do now to prevent becoming victims of cybercrime? To weigh in on this is brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on X, Threads, and Instagram with username @Fisher, and through his website, fisher.media. Good morning to you, Fisher.
Good morning, Ken.
I guess where you live, are we allowed to say? We won't say the exact location, but you're south of us in New Jersey,
Yes.
and it's going to be hotter in New Jersey than down by you. So if you want to cool off, go
Yes.
to the southeast.
I was looking at Mike's forecast and dreading it, but I am going to Chicago on Wednesday, and it's supposed to be Hell's Gate there. So seeing a White Sox game is not going to be as much fun as I thought it would be when I booked the trip. So
You and the Pope.
I still lose. Yeah, we're tight.
So what's this about? How did they get all these
Yeah.
passwords? How did this happen? And in such in mass, you would think there would be so much protection to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, the 16 billion, as you said, with a B, it's a lot, right? And it's not. It may not necessarily be 16 billion unique logins. It could be duplicates as well, and it could be from anywhere. It's actually over 30 different data sets from multiple sources. So it could be from sources like clicking a link, like what our parents might do. You click a link and then they steal your username and password. It could be from data breaches. I mean, just alone in this year, there have been data breaches with local government. So if you log in to pay your water bill, insurance companies, Park Mobile had a data breach a couple of years ago, LexisNexis, those are credit companies, right, that we give data to, like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. So there have been a lot of breaches. Now, it's important to know that companies like Google, Apple, Facebook, Meta have not directly been breached. If you ever hear of those breaches from celebrities of how their pictures got stolen, it's because those celebrities don't have two-factor authentication or aren't using passkeys, things of that sort that are secure. But yes, these credentials are from Google, Apple, Meta, Park Mobile, Experian, and again, they're just gotten from different sources, but this data set was found and it had over 16 billion usernames, passwords, login credentials, the whole nine.
I mean, this is like breaking through the Holy Grail, right? To get it from Google. Oh, look at the forecast. To get it.
Yes and no. I mean, it can be just something simple as Fisher's email, right? And that's a username that I might use, and that's also important as well. When you use your email address as a username, you've now given your email address to somebody who breaks into information like this, right? So most likely your email address is then your bank username, your login for the MTA for your monthly pass, whatever it is. I mean, a lot of us use our email addresses for a lot of things, right? And a lot of us don't use multiple email addresses. Now, if you have an iPhone or a Gmail, you can utilize on iPhone, on Apple products, it's hide my email. So I have an email address personally for every single different account because I'm crazy. But I don't have the same email address. And then if I see emails coming from an email address, I can look and say, oh, that one was for, the Newsday or whatever it is, New York Times. And I can know that they and their data set, either they're selling my information or they got breached. So that's a good way to do it, is to use a different email address for everything. Also, not using your email address and just using Fisher is great as your username. That is not one that I've used, but I might this afternoon. So.
or it's just something that you could store offline, that could be numbers, letters that you wouldn't normally use, something that's totally weird that no one could predict might be yours. Would that be a good idea?
Well,
Like 0,
yeah,
1,
but
2,
it's
3,
still
6, 4.
Sure, but it's still a username that is associated with your data, right? So at some point,
Mhm.
so the important part is to not use usernames that could be used across places, because a lot of us, and say in media, you might be on the air and say, oh, I was at Bank of America the other day. Well, you were just in conversation saying something, right? So now if somebody has your information and knows that you bank at Bank of America or Chase or whatever it is, and they're watching you on TV, they can go, okay, I have his email address. Now, of course, it doesn't go like this, but I have his email address from this thing, from Park Mobile or from this breach over here. I'm going to go to Bank of America and now try to hack your account. I mean, it's something as simple as that. It's something as simple as putting information on your social media properties, pages that you like. So if I go to your X account or your Facebook account and I see that you like Bank of America and you like, all of these things, now I can say, okay, well, these, obviously, why would you like Bank of America if it wasn't your bank? Now, I'm not saying Bank of America. I'm a Bank of America customer. There's been no breaches with Bank of America. I'm just using them as a mere example. But that's the way that information can be pieced together. Pages you like, companies that you like, companies that you follow. If you're following American Express, Bank of America, and all these things, now I know pretty much where you bank at and what your credit cards are. So you give up a lot of information on the internet. And then once that data is exposed, it could just be tried across these different pieces or these different vendors.
So, but if you're using two-level authentication, not authentication, will that prevent this from happening?
It will definitely help, right? So, so first of all, what one should do, and Google actually recommends this for all 2 billion users of theirs, of their products, change your passwords immediately. Go in to everything you have and change your passwords. And also don't use passwords across companies, right? Then the second is, yes, you could turn on two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is as simple as you log in and it'll send you a text. And if you have, if you're using an Android or an iPhone, usually when that text comes in, it pre-populates it into, so it's real easy. The text comes in, the number automatically appears in the two-factor place, and then you hit login and you go. You also can use a piece of software. It's a password authenticator. It's a two-factor authentication software that you can download. If you have Apple products, it's Password, which is automatically built into your products. And then Google Authenticator is also one that you can download. Then you could go for a third, and I'm using this as an example. This is a USB key, so I understand if somebody says this is not an authenticator, but you can get an authenticator that is a piece of hardware. It looks like this. It is not this. This is just a USB drive. But you could get one where you would have to tap your phone. So it depends on how secretive you want to be. But you can have a piece of hardware that you can also use. So then it's completely not associated with your phone. And if you have real, important data. Now, the third thing, which is recommended and where the world is going, is to create a pass key. Now, a pass key is a a device-based authentication, fingerprints, Face ID, biometrics, and it eliminates the needs for passwords altogether. And that is pretty much the strongest element that you can use to secure your account, because you have to have the device with you to show your face or to use your thumbprint, whatever that looks like. So if you have Google, it's real easy. Go to Gmail, and where your little face is on the top right, to the left of that, you click that button and then go to account, select security, and then choose passkeys, and it'll walk you right through it. You can turn on advanced protection. Google has advanced protection for high-risk users to enhance security even further. Apple has advanced data protection and also stolen device protection, which you can turn on. And Apple allows you to turn off the ability to access your iCloud data on the web. So that way, if your Apple ID was stolen and your password, there's no place on the web to go to because it doesn't exist. So there's a lot of protections that you can, utilize. Passkey is going to be the number one, though, for kind of average users. So definitely look into it if you have a Google or Apple device. That is going to be the way to go. But at the minimum, two-factor authentication on all of your accounts.
Before you know it, next year we'll be talking about 10-factor authentication, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Sadly, I wish these people, these asses, would spend half as much time doing good for the world than doing bad. I would love to. I think we need to track down these individuals. The problem is no one does shit about them. Track them down, throw them in prison for life, make sure that somebody is made an example of. The problem is they're all over the world. They're not in our country in many cases. That's a sad thing.
Absolutely.
Brandon, digital strategist Fisher, found on X, Threads, and Instagram with username @Fisher, through his website, fisher.media. Thanks for coming on as always, buddy. Have a great day. Stay cool. Thank you. It is now 77 degrees. He's down south, by the way, where it's actually cooler today. 77 degrees at 8:46. And we go to meteorologist Mike Favetta, who has been fanning himself in the studios by the Weather Center for the wonderful Garden State forecast.
I'm waiting for my sea breeze to come in this afternoon, and not the breeze, the cocktail. Yeah. So with the cocktail. Yeah. With so much hot weather around today, got to do something to stay cool. Beaches, good option. Pool, another great option. But in all seriousness, as you know, probably alcohol, not so smart, considering just how hot it will be today, with temperatures feeling like they're above 100. Actual highs 99 in Hackensack, 96 in Jersey City, 99 in Newark, and 98 in Sussex. Just another day of stifling heat and humidity, especially this afternoon, as our highs will be well above average. The air quality is also quite poor. You see this shade of yellow across New Jersey. This is our current air quality, which is poor. Only gets worse through this afternoon, getting above 150 there in Cape May and approaching 150 in Hackensack. Remember, anytime the air quality number is above 100, it's unhealthy. Anytime it goes above 150, that's a problem. And that's the case down in Cape May, obviously related potentially to some of the fires there at the warehouses. But regardless, with the air quality index of 105, that's unhealthy for sensitive groups, becomes downright unhealthy when you go beyond that. And that's the case today and possibly even tomorrow, with even more heat and hot weather on the way, not just for today, but for the next several weeks there across the Northeast and the Southeast. Slightly above average precipitation, with our climate outlook looking hot and not worried about the rain, since we are well overdue for some dry weather, given how wet it's been. So this is the payback we get after all of the rainfall, with the hot weather. 101 on the 7-day for tomorrow, 96 on Wednesday, 87 Thursday. We'll see temperatures slide by the end of the work week, and potential for some afternoon storms on Saturday and Sunday, but I don't think they're washouts, even with the heat and humidity peaking tomorrow down the shore, cooling off throughout Friday and Saturday to more comfortable levels by the end of the week. So much better on the way, Ken, after so much hot weather. We got you covered here every morning. You can join us live and give you the updates with the extreme heat warnings, which continue tomorrow and Wednesday and maybe even Thursday.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. Enjoy the day and stay cool, brother. Good to have you on as always. It is 77 degrees now, 83 in Trenton, 84 in Newark. And taking a look at this is the New Jersey Turnpike. Newark Bay Extension, mile marker 1.93, the Hudson County Extension west of the Newark Bay Bridge. It's actually moving pretty well right now. A little while ago, it was pretty heavy, but things are starting to lighten up throughout the tri-state. We have a crash on North Avenue eastbound by the Kapkowski Road area in Elizabeth with the two center lanes blocked, and a disabled vehicle on the Turnpike Inner Roadway northbound south of interchange 13 by the Goethals in Linden. The right lane is closed. We have some traffic right now going into the GWB, the 8095 approach, upper and lower levels. Now we're down to about 30 minutes, so it's moving a little better than it was. 25 at the Lincoln and 20 at the Holland. It is 8:50, and right now, for those of you who like music, we got a moment for you, which is really, really nice. We want to say to somebody who is from New Jersey, he grew up in Edison, and now he's lighting up stages with a high-energy blend of pop, rock, and fearless self-expression. His name is Justin Renaissance. He's a singer, performance artist, and the force behind the Power of Pride tour, which is all about empowerment, identity, and living out loud through music. With Pride Month underway and a new single making waves, Justin's joining us this morning to talk about his Jersey roots, his latest release, and where his journey is taking him next. Good morning, Justin. Welcome to you.
Hey, good morning, Ken. How are you?
Wonderful. Welcome home, sort of, right? Tell us what it was like growing up in Edison, where it's much hotter than it is where you are probably right now, and how your upbringing in New Jersey still shapes your music today.
So, growing up in Edison was actually quite tough because it's very conservative. And obviously, the East Coast is very different than the West Coast in regards to mindset. But what I have put together is that through my experience in my life, it's brought me to where I'm at today. I wouldn't feel as empowered as a musician and as an artist had I not gone through a little bit more of conservative mindset growing up. So, that's kind of what shaped me today.
And you're out with a new track, The Journey, which touches on themes of identity and resilience. What inspired The Journey, and how personal is this for you?
So the journey is great. The journey is actually about me moving from one location to another, kind of like moving from leaving home, moving to San Diego or Los Angeles for your dreams. And also just to remember that these dreams continue. You can have whatever you want out of life. You just have to go for it. So that's kind of the basis of the journey. It's very surface level, but it has a lot of meaning and a lot of empowerment.
And you said your music is rooted in 80s icons like Michael Jackson and John Bon Jovi and Bon Jovi. How do you bring those big, big sounds and those stories into the modern pop rock space, if you will?
So, growing up listening to Michael Jackson, I always wanted to dance, as you could see me dancing here on the screen for my Pride Song music video. My sisters were really integrated in Bon Jovi and 80s rock, so I kind of loved the flair, I loved the hair, I loved everything about the 80s that really brought it to life, the colors, the energy, and that's what I deliver on stage in front of my audiences. So I use that with, positive momentum, positive movement. We want to keep love as part of this expression in music, and the only way to do that is to put it in the lyrics and to create melodies that people want to sing.
And the Power of Pride tour is all about reclaiming identity. So, what's the vibe of the live show? Is it all about love then, as you're mentioning, or what more can fans expect when they come to see you? I mean, I think will they have a stereotype in terms of 80s pop, or will this be something that'll surprise them?
This will be something that'll surprise them. The recent show I did at the Delancey in New York was my first show back to the East Coast after about 30 years. And what I did is I tailored the show towards my audience. So I went in, it, some of the songs that I have are about pain, about, the expression of growing up in a more conservative family. And so A New Hero and Beat of the Pain were me and my part of the journey, going through an assault as a young kid, as mod of as a little bit of a hate crime, and that brought me to who I am today, where I'm able to celebrate myself and be as forthright in my expression about who I am and the individuality that I carry, then lead into songs about friends, songs about, love, songs about the journey that I took from New Jersey to the East Coast, and also about pride, about that self love that we all have in ourselves. You know, we hear so much negative on a regular basis that we have to put some positive back in. And I think that music is the way to do it. It's how we change minds and how we save lives.
How hard is it today? Because the music industry has changed so much. Used to be that you came up with a single or you came up with an album, if you will. Because I was a radio disc jockey, I worked for half the radio
Mhm.
stations in the tri-state area over the years before I got into television. And it used to be there was a system. You made your way, you played in the regional clubs, somebody heard you, a record label picked you up, a small, maybe an indie label, and then a bigger label bought you out, and you made your way up that way, and then you did the tour around the country, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Today it's a whole different animal. People just they upload something on YouTube, and all of a sudden next day they have a million hits or whatever. So what advice do you have for younger people who maybe dream and aspire of becoming a musical artist like yourself, and how different is the process today?
I think that that's a great question. The process is vastly different than it was even back 10 years ago. The streaming aspect of music has really taken away the ability for artists to earn money by streaming, by having people listen to it. So the listen aspect is free almost now for most people, other than paying for Spotify or Apple Music. But to be able to go out, get in front of people, this is the whole purpose of my Power of Pride tours, to really show people that to be an artist, you got to get out there. You have to get out and perform in front of people, share your message. And I think that that's the real way to get noticed in the industry today. Uh, you have to knock on doors. Lady Gaga went knocking on doors throughout New York City and said, "Hey, can I open for you?" You know, she called up and pretended to be somebody else and said, "Hey, I book Lady Gaga. Would you like her to, open the show for you?" And that's exactly what you have to do as an artist today. It's not just sit back and wait for someone to notice you. You have to get noticed.
And there was something, I think, Jeremy, back in the day, um, when you came up the old way, you had to pay your dues. You kind of cut your teeth in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. You made your mistakes and fell off the stage in Waukesha, and then by the time you made it to a stage in L.A. or Chicago or New York, you were great. Do you think that the fact that kids, younger people, younger artists are not going through that it's a detriment, that doesn't help them, if you will?
I think that the TikTok aspect of it, I think that that's what you're referring to, where they can just go on social media and be like, okay, I'm going to just become famous because I'm on TikTok. I think that is unrealistic. In fact, I even think it's harder than if you were to get up on a stage and cut your teeth. So that's why the live performance aspect, I feel, is the real way for an artist to make their way, because they have to test their own skill, they have to perform, they have to get in front of people and do the uncomfortable. They have to say the wrong thing sometimes, hit the wrong note sometimes. It's kind of like Broadway. You're not going to see a Broadway artist get up on stage for the first time and not have been through a series of off Broadway shows and touring theaters and cruises and whatever else they use to get themselves to where they're at. So you have to start somewhere. And for me, it was just recording the songs.
Justin, I got to
And
cut you
I
only because
started in a
Justin,
grunt.
only
Sure.
because we're out of time, Justin. I just want to get a website before we go. We're
Sure.
literally off the air in 10 seconds.
Okay. Thank you. It's
Oh, what's a website?
justinrenaissance.com.
All right. Sorry to do that to you,
Justinrenaissance.com.
Justin. JustinRenaissance.com. Justin, thank you for joining us. All the best to you, man, on the tour. That's great.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Ken. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. It is now 77 degrees at 8:57, and that does it for On New Jersey Mornings. Stay cool. Remember to hydrate. Stay out of the sun today. We'll see you again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Bye-bye.